got invited to the Christmas party by mistake. Who knew?
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Die Hard MMA Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Clint McLean. And damn, does it feel good to be closing out the year off of a win. Oh, baby, we absolutely crushed UFC Busan. We destroyed the last fight card of the year, and coming off a couple of back-to-back tough losses, that is just what the doctor ordered. I'm happy I could put some money in some pockets, and nothing feels better than ending the year on a good note. What is up, everybody? It's your boy Clint, your host. I've been here all year. We've made some cash, and I could not leave you hanging without one final send-off episode for 2019. The very first thing that I need to do on this week's episode, though, is give you all a giant thank you. Because 2 weeks ago at UFC 245, I said let's set the goal of 60 likes on that episode. And you know what? Because of the ass kicking that I took, I forgot all about it. We hit 61 thumbs up on that video. It's got 896 views, but I don't give a damn. We got the like mark that I had set, the goal that we had set, so thank you all so much for that. I really appreciate it. On this week's episode, UFC Busan, we got 549 views with only 28 thumbs ups, which we got to get a little bit more love on there, but that probably has to do with the fact that I didn't ask for it, so that's my bad. Thank you all for the love and support, because really, without you guys, I just wouldn't be here doing this. This has been a hell of a fun year. It's been a fun ride, and seriously, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you guys. I had so many nice messages after UFC Busan. There have been some really Die Hard MMA Podcast fans, and you all have been flooding me with nice messages. I've gotten some very nice tips, and it means the world to me coming around the holidays. And, I'm just some dude sitting in front of a microphone talking shit about fights that he feels like he knows about. And hearing that you all enjoy the podcast as much as I enjoy doing it, that just... It really makes the world of difference to me. It really makes my heart all warm and fuzzy hearing how much some of you like that. I'm not going to read the comments and things like that out loud on the podcast because I feel like some of those may have been, private, meant for me, that kind of a thing. So I'm not going to put anybody on blast here, even though it's a positive thing. So just thank you all. Know from the bottom of my heart how much I appreciate you all. So I am sitting here. It is Monday. The podcast always comes out on a Tuesday, but as most of you know, or you should know, Tuesday is Christmas Eve, the 24th and the 25th. So happy holidays to everybody. I'm sure I am giving some of you something to listen to while you are plowing through your work for the day here on Tuesday the 24th. But tonight, my Minnesota Vikings are playing the Green Bay Packers. Your boy is tied practically for the lead in my big buy-in fantasy football league. We have $450 on the line tonight, folks. So even though there's no MMA going on right now, your boy's got some gamble in him. So I've got to squeeze this episode out here real quick before I run over to my father-in-law's and click that game on and put my Vikings jersey on, because I'm going to cheer my face off and the fireball will be flowing. So I wanted to give a recap because UFC Busan, we could not have asked for a better finish to the year. Okay, let me take that back. We could have swept. That would have been the only thing that made UFC Busan better, is if we had actually swept the entire card top to bottom. And let me tell you, we came damn close to doing it. I want to give a shout out to the guy in the comments from last week's video who was basically saying how much value I bring to his bottom line by fading me in my direct picks. You must have had a good night at UFC Busan, buddy. You know what? Hit me with your PayPal. I'll send you $25 for gas to fill those Teslas up because you're gonna need it. So I was with my family for UFC Busan. Normally speaking, I would have just pulled the all-nighter, slammed a Red Bull, and stayed up to watch this thing because there was actually some damn good action on this card. Like I said in last week's video, as I started digging into it, as I started breaking it down, this is a damn good card. It's got some serious talent on it, and I'm really upset I didn't get to watch the whole thing live. So I woke up just in time for the main card. I think I missed the very first fight of the main card, so unfortunately I don't have a huge breakdown to give of the undercard. It sounds like, we had the Hani Barcelos and Said Nurmagomedov fight pretty much point on. I'm kind of bummed I didn't pull the trigger on Hani, but that's hindsight, obviously, because he won. I'm sitting here wishing I had cashed one more bet because I really did lean to Hani, but the line was just too damn close. Getting him as an exact pick'em, it was a close 3-round decision. So, okay that we passed there, but we could have locked up one more unit. I hope some of you maybe had the balls that I did not to pull the trigger on Hani after listening to, my lean that way. But really, the fight that we're interested in, that I'm so pissed off I didn't get to see live, was Pantoja versus Danger Schnell. And wow. So this is one of those ones that, for me, you've got to look at the value side of things. I know everyone's going to laugh at me and they're going to say, well, you didn't cash the bet, so there's no value on it. And that's just flat not true. We had a plus 179 line on Matt, and this was a 1-round banger. Either of these guys could have gone down at any point in time during this fight. From the very first bell, they were slinging with bad intentions, and Matt got dropped to a knee early on in the fight, and then he came back and he actually rocked Pantoja. And let me tell you, newfound respect for the chin and recoverability of Alexander Pantoja, because when he got clipped by Schnell, he did that. When you see guys get really knocked bad unconscious and they just kind of fall forward straight onto their face, that's what he did. And then he kind of shook it and took a step forward and caught himself. I thought it was done. I thought it was over. I really thought that he was going to just face plant. Seeing it live, it looked like the same exact situation. I'm shocked he didn't go out there. And then, Schnell did exactly what we wanted him to. He had a more measured approach after that. He was mixing in the leg kicks. He took some unwanted damage on his back when he pulled guard and got lit up by Pantoja with a couple of serious big shots on the ground. But as soon as they got it back to the feet, it really was an evenly matched slugfest, and it just came down to who was going to get hit hard first. They had both been rocked. They had both been practically dropped. And it could have gone either way. That is value. That's a coin flip brawl, baby. That is a 50-50 fight. And if that's the way that thing's going to go, I will flip that coin with plus 179 every single time. The first leg of our parlay cashes, while I was sound asleep with Omar Morales stepping in and doing exactly what I said he was going to. He dominated that fight from bell to bell. And, it was really, really nice to wake up and see that first leg had cashed, because I loved that parlay. Absolutely loved the parlay. And with my recent run of 2-unit bets, I was too scared to make it a 2-unit bet. I really should have. Honestly, again, hindsight is 20/20. Everything always looks crystal clear after it's already happened, but damn, that parlay was perfect. So we wrap up the main card. From what I understand, Bozer gave a good showing of himself, but basically got lit up by Gagne for 3 full rounds. And I'm honestly kind of surprised he didn't get finished. Gagne is a complete beast. So I missed the Kang fight. I know a lot of people who bet Kang, and that was another, if you wanted to lay big wood on a favorite and just try and lock up a profit, he was probably one of the ones to do it. I am so happy we dodged a bullet. Folks, I have told you every single time we come on this show, we learn from our mistakes. We did not lose a unit on Marc-Andre Barrial because we were so supposed to bet that fight. Everything that we talked about, everything that we looked for, the spot, the guy, the opponent, all of it. Marc-Andre had that fight in the bag pre-flop, and he choked. He choked it away, and we dodged that bullet so freaking hard. I know so many people who bet Marc-Andre in that spot, and every single time anybody said it, I was just like, don't do it. Anybody that was like, I'm going to bet Marc-Andre, this is a perfect spot for him. Park can't wrestle. I was like, don't do it. Thank God we dodged that bullet. So actually, we had a lot of success with the Asian fighters on this card. I feel like that Asian market for the UFC is really building itself up. There's been kind of a turnover in that area. It used to be that the Asian fighters just got rickrolled by the fighters from the United States and Brazil and stuff like that, and it's not that way anymore. These boys from Asia are showing up. And now maybe the highlight of the entire night, Doo Ho Choi versus Charles Air Jourdain, our biggest dog that we took. I took him at plus 245. You could have got him damn near plus 300 when that fight kicked off because all the late money coming in on Doo Ho Choi. And the Korean Superboy is not what everyone makes him out to be. This kid, Charles Jourdain, I told y'all he was in shape and he came to bang. We crushed this giant dog. I am so stoked. When he came out and Choi landed that first big shot and Jourdain's eyes got all wide, I was like, oh no. That's one of those ones where you can see he was just not expecting that power. But he's a freaking vet, man. He has got a much better resume. Just his full fight career is pretty solid, and the amount of experience that he's got really showed because he didn't let that moment overwhelm him. He took that shot, and a lot of fresher fighters, other guys who maybe just 1 or 2 fights into their UFC career, they would have let that steamroll them, and he loosened up. He took a step back. He shook it off. He got back to his game. He changed it up, and he started doing some of the crazy athletic shit that I talked about that he's able to. He threw a couple of flying knees. He landed a big flying knee on Doo Ho Choi, and then in the second round just poured it on. You could tell he was the fresher fighter, and he had more in the tank in round 2, and that was beautiful. I mean, so picture this. We're at my parents' house. I've got my wife and my daughter with me. They are both sound asleep. And I'm sitting at, 4:30 in the morning with my headphones in, streaming ESPN Plus on my phone, and I'm silently screaming during round 2. I'm trying not to move so the couch doesn't wiggle and wake my wife up, but I'm going, yes, Jourdain! I was going nuts. And then he lands the big KO bomb. I almost couldn't believe it myself. I mean, this is one of those times where betting, I feel like, is almost similar to actually being an athlete. You get in your own head. You absolutely get in your own head. It's like when you miss a couple shots in basketball, you're like, shit, man, can I still make this thing? Can I still shoot? Like, you lose your confidence, and losing 2 back-to-back weeks. I know one was a robbery that we talked about, but that landslide of bad luck the week before at UFC 245, the absolute landslide, the 0-9, that hurt. I mean, deep in my soul, that hurt. And taking the big dogs like I did on this card, this 4-dog play, that's my bread and butter. This is the shit that I do best, and I know that. But I felt cursed. Looking at the fact that I had locked up the first leg of the parlay, but no money was made on it, because you got to close that parlay before you get paid. And then seeing that Danger had gotten clipped by Pantoja, gone down, I was like, oh God, no. Please do not let the end of the year end this way. And Charles Jourdain just flipped the whole thing on its head. I knew he was live, and looking at the skill set, I knew he could do what he did, but he was still a long shot. I mean, obviously we had line value. It should have been a whole lot closer of a line than it was. And I said it on Twitter, we are never going to sniff plus 250 on this kid. Not for a long time. I hope the bookies underestimate him, and maybe in his next fight, if he gets a half-decent featherweight, we might get slight dog money or even money or something on him, because this kid, Charles Jourdain, he is a problem. He's going to be good moving forward. But anyway, sorry, I just, that moment was such a big deal to me. Hitting those big, fat, juicy dogs, that's everything to me. That's my whole game plan. That's where the units that we are up on this podcast came from, is because I take those shots. And I just love it because so many people after last week, insta fade Clint's picks, fade him. I'm going to lay the wood on Doo Ho Choi. Well, fuck you. You put minus 300, minus 400 on Doo Ho Choi. You deserve it, son. So, sorry, I'm feeling myself a little bit now. In the next fight, we keep the good times rolling. Volkan, no time. Oezdemir takes his time and got a 3-round decision over Alexander Rakic. Now, this is one I took some shit for this. So this was a very close fight, okay? Let me start by saying this was a very close fight. Secondly, let me say that they absolutely got this fight right, okay? Volkan Oezdemir won round 2 and 3, and I tried to explain this civilly online, but Twitter, nobody wants to hear anything civilly, and if you're not agreeing with them, they don't want to hear you at all. So If you think Alexander Rakic, this reminds me a whole lot of the Jose Aldo and Marlon Moraes fight. If you think that Alexander Rakic won this fight, okay, I'm not going to argue with you. This is not a fight that we can use the robbery label. If you use the term robbery on this fight, you are not using that term correctly. It was a very, very close fight. I think Ozdemir won it, and I'll explain that in a second. But if you think Rakic won it, I'm not going to call you a liar. I'm not going to call you stupid. It was close. It was very close. It all came down to round 2 and how you scored it. Round 1 was very obviously Rakic's round. Alexander Rakic did everything in round 1. Volkan Ozdemir woke up and got going in round 2. He dictated where the fight took place. He defended all of the takedowns. He was able to reverse position on Rakic, and then he beat the living shit out of his leg. All right? And something that I think is a key piece of this is that he slowed Rakic down massively. Someone on Twitter was telling me that the leg kicks of Ozdemir shouldn't have counted for shit. First off, that's ignorant. The leg kicks obviously score something. A punch to the face and a kick to the leg score relatively the same unless there is some kind of damage or you can see the effect on the fighter. Volkan Ozdemir's face was a little red. Rakic looked like he had a third knee. Like, you can't compare the two. He wasn't able to explode or move off of it the way that he normally is because of the amount of damage that Volkan put on that thing. And I mean, if they're relatively even in strikes and then Volkan has all these leg strikes on top of it and that little baby head swelling out of Rakic's calf, I mean, that's obviously a Volkan Ozdemir round in my opinion. I think it's blatantly obvious that that is a second round win for Volkan Ozdemir. I had it 1-1 going into round 3. Round 3 was much of the same story. Volkan Ozdemir slightly outlanded Rakic, especially in those takedown positions where Rakic pinned him up against the cage. Volkan elbowed him in the head 8, 9, 10 times in a row. You really think that Rakic leaning on him against the cage scores more than 10 elbows? It doesn't. So it can't possibly be scored for Rakic. And I don't know. If you want to say that round 2 was too close and you don't want to value the leg kicks and you think that Rakic failing on takedown attempts is enough pressure to overcome the damage that Volkan landed on his leg, okay. I don't agree with you, but okay. Anyway, we got a winner. We got a good, solid winner. We cashed that plus 125 on Volkan Ozdemir. I think Rakic is still going to be a viable option in the future, but it reminded me a whole lot of what happened with Johnny Walker. You know, everyone was cheering about how this guy was the next guy to take out John Jones. This guy was going to, just fly past everybody to the top. I was one of them. And then he met a real veteran. He met a savvy, established veteran that knows what the hell they're doing. And he had his eyes open to what the top level of this division looks like. And that's exactly what happened here to Rakic. Rakic was not prepared for Volkan's savvy for him to be able to stretch the fight out. And everybody that kept saying that the longer this fight goes, the better it is for Rakic, I said from the start, I was like, no. My boy Volkan is really working on rounding out his game. My boy Volkan is working on that grappling. He's working on that fight IQ. And he dragged that fight into deep waters. And at the end of the third round, Rakic was huffing and puffing. Volkan could have done that for another 10 minutes. And Rakic, if this was a title fight, if this was a 5-rounder, Rakic would have gotten finished in round 4. Damn near guarantee it. So we cash another one there, and then we go to the main event. And all I can say is poor Frankie. Holy shit. Now, I know I didn't mention it in the podcast last week, and that is my bad. But Chan Sung Jung moving to Fight Ready. Y'all know I've been beating my chest about Fight Ready as a gym this entire year. Fight Ready is my number one gym, okay? I love Fight Ready, and I love City Kickboxing, and then right behind them is ATT. That's my standings for gyms. So fighters that are coming out of those places, those are the guys we want to bet on, guys and girls. So Chan Sung Jung is on the cusp of being title worthy, and then he moves over to Fight Ready. I think he can absolutely take the belt in 2020. That is my prediction, is Korean Zombie, UFC champion 2020. I think if he stays at Fight Ready, he works with guys like Cejudo and develops that grappling game. He works at that, insane strength and development program, strength and conditioning program that they've got over there. He is going to be faster, stronger, more precise, and then he's going to have that wrestling wrinkle in there that he's always been missing. Chan Sung-jung is going to drop everybody he fights. Now, I know he was facing a 38-year-old Frankie Edgar. I know we've talked about Frankie's legendary chin being gone, but it was the ease with which he handled Frankie Edgar. It's not that he landed one big lucky shot. He didn't just clip him once and the ref waved in and stopped it. He hurt him and then methodically picked him apart for the next 2 minutes until it was too much for the ref to pull him off. He didn't even look winded. It wasn't even an effort. And that's the difference. If he had landed one big boom shot and it was over in the first 15 seconds, yes, it would have been impressive, but I might not feel the way I feel right now. Seeing what he did, the decisions that he made, taking Frankie Edgar's back, taking his time, and just picking apart the pieces until he completely demolished a former champion and legend in Frankie Edgar. That was a huge eye-opener. And thank God it closes out that parlay. So we ended up going 3-1 on the picks for 4.1 units of profit. And that was so welcome after the landslide of losses from UFC 245. That brings the UFC Die Hard MMA Podcast record. Well, I don't know why I said UFC, because we did Bellator in there too sometimes. The 2019 record, 143 wins to 138 losses for plus 19.88 units. Not too bad. I didn't hit the 50 unit mark. That was my goal. I wanted 50 units by the end of the year, and it's unfortunate that we didn't go up plus 50, but you know what? Like I've been saying, this was year number 1. This was only year number 1. We are just getting started. I'm still ironing out my process. I'm still learning as we do this thing. I am not a professional sports bettor. Thank you all so much for sticking with me all the way through this thing. For those of you who are diehards from the beginning, to those of you who are just joining the show now, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for tuning in, and I cannot wait for 2020. I've got some serious, awesome stuff coming for 2020. I want to crank this thing into overdrive, and hopefully we'll just be able to make some more money. Hopefully 2020, you know what? I'm going to reset that goal. 2020's goal, 50 units. I would have set the bar higher, but we didn't get it this year. In 2020, we're going to net profit 50 units on MMA betting. Thank you all again for all the tips, all the kind words, all the donations. I'm going to put my PayPal and my Venmo link down in the bottom below. If you like what I'm doing on the show, if you made some cash, especially if you made some cash at UFC Busan over the course of 2019, anything, or if you just want to support me in the show, feel free to throw a tip or something my way. It means the world to me. I am a one-man organization over here, and with some of the cash that we made on this year, I'll give you a hint. I may or may not have purchased a green screen. Just let that settle. Good luck, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season with your loved ones, your families, your friends. Everybody toast. Everyone have a shot of Fireball on Christmas Day. I will be doing one, and I will be cheersing the diehards. You can find me on Twitter at DieHardMMA Pod. I will still be active on Twitter and keeping an eye on all the football going on over the holidays, but we don't have anything happening as far as MMA for the next couple weeks. And as much as that saddens me, the last MMA break about killed me, but this MMA break I'm actually going to be very, very productive on, because I've got to iron out what is going to shape Season 2 of the Die Hard MMA Podcast. It'll give me a little bit of time not having to worry about pumping content out to get that all figured out. If you have any questions or anything like that, do go ahead and hit me up. Give me a shout out. I do have one play that I have already tweeted out. If you follow me on Twitter, and I want to let you know right now, we are locking in Rocky Pennington at plus 120 at UFC 246. I was keeping my eye on this one. I actually was hoping that money was going to come in on Holly Holm, because, well, the narrative around the MMA community is that Rocky sucks. And it's been that way for a long time. We have been using her to cash some serious bets when no one expected her to get it done. And I expected that people were going to continue that in this fight. Well, unfortunately, that line has been dipping and going against us. That dog money is drying up. People are wise to how good Rocky is. People are wise to Holly Holm fading in the twilight of her career. So we need to jump on that now before this thing turns into a pick'em. So we've got Raquel Pennington at plus 120. And if if you are the type of person who likes to tuck away a little something for the future, and if you are the type of person who has a online sports book that will allow you to parlay future MMA events, one thing that I did look down the road at is on the 18th, UFC 246, Nasrat Haqparast returns. And you can parlay him up with Rafael Dos Anjos and Curtis Blades, and the three of them will get you about a 2-to-1 payout. And I think that's an amazing three-teamer. They're both right around that minus 200, minus 225, minus 250 mark that we like to target for these types of parlays. This is not an official podcast pick. Just letting you know, sometimes I like to do a little bit of fun things on the side, and if you're, wanting to tuck away a little bit of action for down the road, those are some look-ahead lines that I'm very, very interested in. Nasrat Haqparast, Rafael Dos Anjos, and Curtis Blades. If you can three-team parlay those together, you will get 2-to-1 odds. And, I did it. Thank you all again for sticking with me through this thing. It's been a great year. Looking forward to next year. Once again, happy holidays, everybody. Stay safe. Remember, always bet the dog. Drink all the Fireball you can. Cheers. Stay safe. Catch y'all in 2020. Let's roll.